Meeting of the Noblesville Common Council to order at 7 o'clock. If you'd all rise as Evelyn Lindhurst will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Prozinski, would you lead us in the roll call?
Mr. Boyce?
Present.
Mr. Davis?
Present.
Mr. Elliott?
Present.
Mr. Johnson?
Present.
Mr. Schwartz?
Present.
Mr. Smith?
Present.
Mr. Thurston?
Present.
Ms. Wiles?
Present.
Mr. Peterson?
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. The approval of the, I take a motion to approve the minutes of our May 28th meeting.
So moved.
Second. There's a motion and a second to approve the minutes of our May 28th meeting. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 9-0. Approval of the agenda.
Mr. President, I would move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
The motion and a second to approve the agenda is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you. 9-0. There is time, council, petitions or comments by citizens who are present. There are some white cards in the back if anybody would like to speak. I have 3 in front of me. They appear to not be related to a specific project, so if you'd like to come forward, I'll start with Courtney Culp. You have 3 minutes. 3 minutes to speak. Introduce yourself and give your address.
Sorry, what? Yes. My name is Courtney Culp, and I live in the Oakmont development of Noblesville, 17946 Forreston Oak Drive. And I'm here today, and I'm going to speak quickly, so I make my 3 minutes. I'm here today to speak about the topic of sidewalk repair and aggressive tree removal in our neighborhood. In 2017, the city swiftly tagged 191 trees for removal, causing upset homeowners who cherish their trees. Now in 2024, the City of Noblesville Tree Board quietly informs the Oakmont HOA Board plans for more tree removal, echoing past frustrations with city decisions. In the midst of the trip and fall lawsuit involving the city, our HOA Board, and an adjacent homeowner, discussions about tree removal and sidewalk repair lack transparency and homeowner input. Despite the promises of dialogue, the city dismisses homeowner concerns, opting for unilateral action. Social pressure from Oakmont residents highlights the need for fair treatment and genuine engagement from the city. Once again, despite the covert manner of communication, we feel blindsided by the aggressive approach to altering our neighborhood's natural landscape. Firstly, sidewalk issues are widespread across the city, not limited to Oakmont. Secondly, while the city claims ownership of street trees, homeowners have invested time and effort into nurturing and maintaining them for nearly 3 decades. The unilateral action without homeowner input or compromise is unjust, and it undermines taxpayer investment in our community's greenery. With approximately 300 homes in Oakmont, totaling an estimated property value of $142,500,000, the removal of trees could have significant economic repercussions. Research suggests that mature trees can increase home values by up to 15%, but even taking a conservative estimate of 9%, the potential economic impact of removing 160 trees in round 1 and at least 121 trees in round 2 could exceed $12.8 million of economic impact, or $42,700 per home. Therefore, I urge the city to engage directly with residents, not just the HOA board, to explore mutually beneficial compromises before proceeding with tree removal. As I depart today, I implore the city to genuinely consider the multitude of solutions proposed by Oakmont residents, engage in meaningful discussion, and be open to compromise. Let us strive for a city where government values nature, particularly in the face of rising temperatures, and where residents' voices are heard, fostering a collaborative approach to addressing concerns. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jamie Reichner. Forgive me if I mispronounce anyone's name.
It's a difficult one. My name's Jamie Rickner. You need my address as well. 7359 Hardin Oak Drive here in Noblesville. And I'm here today to also talk about the Oakmont trees as well as just the mature trees all over our city here in Noblesville. In November of 2021, the Noblesville Current published an article about the tree board and the hiring of John Easley. One part of the article said, "What John and I have found in our career as arborists is many people are unaware of the health benefits trees provide the community. Flooding and poor air quality and erosion are all effects of the loss of canopy cover. More importantly, tree canopy has a huge effect on physical and mental health. Tree Board President Ashley Mullis said the board is working on a 5-year plan to increase the tree canopy cover in Noblesville and raise community awareness of the benefits of trees. However, here we are, not even 3 years later, and the city of Noblesville is looking to get rid of canopy cover not only in Oakmont, but in the established neighborhoods across the city. In chatting with other municipalities, most have stated that they would never do something like this and would look for other options. Why has the city of Noblesville and the tree board's views changed on the benefits of mature tree canopies across the city? Why is there a sudden belief that the easiest route must be taken rather than thinking outside the box to place value on all the benefits tree canopies can provide? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah Ropti.
Hi, I'm Sarah Rupty. I'm from 7383 Hardin Oak Drive as well. Hello and thank you for your time. In 2013, my family and I chose to buy a home in the Oakmont neighborhood. We chose this neighborhood and location over others because of its beautiful mature trees and walkability. I'm here to speak on behalf of the Oakmont neighborhood that is slated to have the majority of its beautiful mature trees cut down in order to repair the sidewalks. I come to you today to plead with you to find some other way to repair the sidewalks without taking our beautiful mature tree cover, as other cities across the U.S. and world have done. While there are many reasons to keep these trees and their benefits are far-reaching, as some of my neighbors will share with you, the main reason I come to you today is to address the mental health aspect of having a mature tree cover. Numerous studies have shown that neighborhoods that have at least 30% tree cover were a third less likely to experience psychological distress, such as stress and anxiety. If our neighborhood is clear-cut as planned, we will no longer have that tree canopy coverage. In our modern, hectic world, trees provide a natural sanctuary offering a sense of peace and tranquility. Walking along tree-lined streets, hearing the rustle of leaves, and seeing the vibrant green canopy above can have a calming effect, helping to lower our stress levels and improve our mood. In fact, I went through a long season of postpartum depression and anxiety after the birth of my last child. Along with going to therapy and other interventions, one of my first line of defenses when overwhelmed was to step out my front door and take a walk through the neighborhood. I'm no longer struggling with postpartum issues, thankfully, but still find that if I'm having a particularly rough day, the best thing to regulate my nervous system and de-stress is, again, to step out my front door and take a quick walk through our beautiful neighborhood. If these trees are taken in the manner in which they have been proposed to, walking out my front door will no longer bring the stress relief and calm I have come accustomed to. Instead, I will walk out to a hot concrete heat jungle that is no longer walk-friendly. Not only that, but going from having this wonderful benefit to having to walk outside to barren land, I will feel distress and sadness instead. Having a mature tree canopy also contributes to our sense of community. The shade provided by the trees fosters gathering outside by my neighbors and children. You can often find all manner of children and neighbors outside speaking, laughing, and playing. In the hot summer, it will be much harder to convene together. Tree cover fosters community. There are other ways to repair the sidewalks, as has been demonstrated by other cities across the world. We've been researching them and presenting them. Please consider using them to preserve our home values, cool our sidewalks and roads, and benefit our neighborhood's mental health. Please do not rob us of these benefits. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I know it's difficult to come up and speak to a crowd like this, so thank you. Mayor's comments.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. Thank you for the opportunity to say a few words tonight. I would like to address some infrastructure challenges. That was my original plan tonight, but I do want to acknowledge and appreciate the 3 citizens who came forward tonight to speak on this behalf. This is a very difficult topic. This is something that I do take issue with quietly informing the HOA board. That's not the case. We had a meeting here in City Hall. In fact, some of you were here back in March with the HOA. About 65 folks showed up for that. We acknowledge that this conversation is a difficult difficult one. Many of you who were on the council in 2017 remember how difficult of a conversation that was with the Oakmont community. Oakmont is a beautiful neighborhood full of very mature trees, trees that were wrongly planted, quite frankly, some 20 years ago, and are not the correct species to be in our sidewalk area. As many of you know who have served on the council before, what we do is we go through about a 20-year rotation of street repair in our community. And when we have funding to go into a neighborhood to evaluate those streets and rehab them, we also then take time to evaluate the sidewalks in that neighborhood. Oftentimes, if sidewalks are bumped up more than 1/4 of an inch, which is the standard, but we look at about an inch lip, majority of the time that is caused by a tree root issue. John Easley, who's been mentioned here tonight, is on staff with the city of Noblesville. He has been an arborist with certification for over 38 years. And if you've had any chance to meet him, he is a very knowledgeable individual around trees. And I appreciate what he's gone through, quite frankly, the last several months in this conversation. We know this is a difficult challenge. Our plan is, after evaluation, because of either an ordinance violation with the tree, or a hazard with the tree, or an issue with a hazard with the sidewalk, or an issue with the tree, we will be going in as part of our street rehab program and removing 164 trees in the Oakmont neighborhood. Now, what has not been mentioned tonight is we will be coming back and replanting about 94 of them. Now, the reason why it's not a 1-for-1 ratio is because of our ordinances that you all have adopted. Some of those trees are non-compliant, too close to driveways, fire hydrants, stop signs, etc. ADA compliance has also changed now, and we have to evaluate our sidewalks based on ADA compliance, so it is a safe, walkable neighborhood. We did go out and meet with the neighborhood at Jamie's recommendation, actually, several weeks ago for about an hour and a half to discuss this. And as I said from the outset, not an easy conversation. I knew they weren't going to leave that conversation loving our plan of attack. But I can assure you that we have done it. We have researched issues. We have looked at alternatives. We have heard and listened the best we can, and we're taking the action that we think is best for the city of Noblesville as a whole moving forward. So again, I appreciate the three of them coming here tonight. I know it is a very emotional topic, and it's something that we want to continue to work on going forward and revising our process as we do this going forward. Our ultimate goal is safety of our communities and safety of those sidewalks. We are in an active lawsuit, not just the HOA board that was stated, but with the entire HOA. The board represents the HOA. They are named in that lawsuit as well. Again, that's what we're trying to avoid long-term. Lawsuits are not, we get sued every day. We're trying to avoid that as much as we can going forward and focus on the safety of our neighborhood. So again, appreciate you all hearing that information. I know I've talked individually with a lot of you about this topic over the last several months, and it's one that we'll continue to have to tackle going forward, and it's not an easy conversation, but I appreciate you all hearing it, and I appreciate the individuals stepping forward tonight. I'll also mention on another note, downtown construction is still there. We are getting closer to the end, though. I will say I really appreciate our friends at NDOT. Also not an easy conversation. But I will tell you our plan is on Friday night that we'll move into a phase 3 of the downtown State Road 32 project. What that will do is we'll open up the intersections of 9th and 10th Street, which will be a wonderful upgrade, as well as all the way down to 16th Street. Subsequently, at the same time, we will close from 9th to the west to 6th Street. So that what has not been communicated well, and we're doing a better job going forward, is the Connor Street Bridge will remain open to one-way traffic coming into the city. You'll then flow on to turn right onto 6th Street and be able to jog over to 8th Street. So there will be one-way traffic coming across that bridge. There was some misconception that we'd be down to just the Logan Street Bridge. Connor Street Bridge will be open in one direction, and then working on detours to flow traffic out on Logan Street. As we've said from the outset of this project when it started in April, I just genuinely appreciate not only the citizens of downtown who've had to bear the burden of this, the business owners of downtown who have been incredible, and they've been incredibly resilient, and they know that this is a good project long-term. Their smile's fading, though. Every week they tell me that, and they smile a little less and less, but it's getting closer. So I just appreciate all of your support to help get the word out to citizens. I sat in traffic backed up to the bowling alley today, and I resisted the urge to complain about it because it's probably my fault. So I sit in it every day as well, coming into town.
Look at that rearview mirror.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And I'll also say, as of last Sunday, thank you to our friends of the county, the 146th Street project in Allisonville Road, which is a major undertaking and is a project that Hamilton County is owning, but now you can go north and south on Allisonville Road with a temporary stoplight there on 146th Street. You are not able to turn left in any direction, so mind yourself as you work your way through that, but hopefully the public is starting to see these projects start to slowly open over time and get excited about that. I would like to think we're through the worst, but the second I say that, something will happen, so I'm not going to say it. But I appreciate all of you being resilient with us, and you are oftentimes the bearer of the frustrations, which I completely respect, but appreciate all of you being great ambassadors for these projects going on around the city. So with that, thank you for your time, and happy to take any questions you have of me directly.
Have the business resilience or the hard hat grants been distributed?
Yes, about a week and a half ago, Aaron Smith, I think, joined some members of our team, Aaron Head and others, to distribute those hard hat resiliency grants. Appreciate, that's a great example of you guys putting money aside to help out at a time of need for our downtown businesses. Our downtown is at 100% occupancy, and most of them are small mom and pop businesses, which are the backbone of our economy. And that hard hat resilient grant dollars went a long way to keep them viable through these tough economic times.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Really appreciate you. Happy birthday, Pete. And Dave, the birthday corner.
On to council committee reports. Utilities, Mr. Boyce.
I did not know I was going to get a utilities report. Go to roads first, please.
Let's skip ahead to the roads committee. Todd Thurston.
Thank you, Mr. President. Friday, June 7th, Darren Peterson and myself met with staff to go over the road construction projects here in our lovely city. Couple of highlights. The street rehabilitation project of 23 has been complete, with the exception of just some decorative crosswalks that will be installed at Seminary Park in the late summer. And the 24 street rehabilitation project has been bid and was awarded today. And that will be starting soon with completion in October. Couple other highlights. Once again, the mayor stole some of my thunder with the Hamilton County 146th Street and Allisonville project. I did drive through that today and was able to, last week I didn't think it was possible that I was going to be able to go that way, but it was there, looked good. If you'd like to continue to get updates on that project, www.streamline146.com. State Road 38 at Oakmont Whitcomb Ridge Roundabout, that is still on schedule to be completed Labor Day. State Road 32 road construction and signal project. Again, the mayor had already mentioned that. Phase 3 is moving over. For continued updates on that, reconstruct State Road, or actually reconstruct SR32.com, or just come to council and the mayor will tell you. State Road 37 and 186th Street is scheduled for late July. That'll run through October. That is to reduce that conflict intersection there. The other one starting soon, State Road 37 and 191st Street. Again, will start late July. We talked about that. Phase 3 of Pleasant Street has started a little bit. If you've been on 32 coming in right around Hague, you'll see a lot of dirt being moved. A lot faster than I anticipated as well, so it looks good. Little Chicago Road Trail over Morris Lake is still on schedule to be open by Thanksgiving. 141st Street at Promise Road Roundabout will start on June 17th. Last one probably I'll mention is the Forest Park to Federal Hill Trail. If you've been in the park at all, you will see that the contractor started to mobilize there. They're supposed to start, well, it says start June 10th, which was yesterday. The tunnel portion of that will go under the railroad track will be constructed after Labor Day, with the complete project done the end of 24. I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Any questions? Downtown District Committee, Aaron Smith.
Well, both Mr. Thurston and Mr. Jensen stole some of mine. So I get an abbreviated one. Downtown District Committee met on Friday, May 31st. with a whole slew of public folks that were there. We introduced our new Parks Director at the meeting, which was great. We heard some more about the capital projects that the parks are undertaking. We wrapped up the Hard Hat Resiliency Grant, which Mr. Peterson shared was dispersed right before the Peony Festival. We talked a little bit about the four-way flashers that are on 10th Street at Hannibal and Clinton, and then on 9th at Maple, and those are now done as well. Those all came out of downtown district funds. We talked through the crosswalks that are slated for design around Seminary Park. Those are going to be peony themed. We talked a little bit about the State Road 32 reconstruction update. We got an update on that already. The only thing I'll add is that as you're leaving today, if you look out to the intersection right out here, you'll see that there's upgraded stoplight poles, which has been a long time project of the Downtown District Committee, and they already look great. So that will continue on. Phase 3 will go through into July. About mid-July is when they're slated to be done with that third phase going to the courthouse. Talked a little bit about Pleasant Street and the trail that Mr. Thurston also mentioned, and then got a few updates on development projects, and that was it.
What color are the new light poles downtown?
Always black.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? EDCC, Megan Wiles.
Yes, the Economic Development Committee met on Wednesday, June 5th. Myself, Mark Boyce, and Todd Thurston were present. We had staff from the Economic Development Department, and Mr. Haberman shared with us some modeling, GIS modeling for 3D, to take a look at the city's assessed value, and it has great possibilities to come. So this was just kind of an introduction, and I went into some stuff that I didn't quite understand, so it's good. It'll be cool when we get it all through there. Mr. Haberman also talked about the Make My Moves program and how successful it has been so far. We've had a total of 123 new residents. Their average income is a little over $142,000. So it has been a great project and momentum for the city to bring new residents to our community. They shared an update of the Economic Development's website and talked about social media engagement and how they are working with Blue Sky and continuing to grow those activities. And then they also talked through about our Stay Here, Grow Here business retention program, and that really working with existing businesses and helping them to continue to grow, and that we're going out and visiting with those various businesses. They did just 5 visits in the last month, so that is something that continue to hear from the residents, things that are going on and what they need from the city. So that's been good. And then Mrs. Smith provided us with a tax abatement compliance report, and happy to say that things are all moving along in the right direction. Every company submitted their forms on time, which was a good thing, and that 8 of the newest abatement recipients are reporting their community engagement to the staff as are required as part of our new process. And that was it.
Thank you. Any questions? Utilities Committee, Mark Boyce.
Yes, the Utilities Committee met on May 30th. Mr. Davis, Mr. Elliott, and myself were all present. It's kind of nice we didn't have Mr. Air on there anymore, so everybody was on time. We first started talking about flow rates and some of that, and that brought us to the fact that we are going to have a rate increase. I know that's something no one likes to talk about here, but we discussed it quite a bit, and with that rate increase, we talked a lot about whether it should just be one hit for 4 years, like it was last time, which lets us bring in a lot more money at the beginning, but then we are in the rears at the end, or whether we would like to do a yearly annual. And so there's quite a bit of discussion there. I think it's going to either be a 2 or a 4, and we will also be hearing from the administration and the mayor to see exactly what their preference is there, but a lot of discussion there. There will still be the difficulty, a reprieve for those that are having difficulty paying. They can contact the utilities office. This is something that we started, I believe, the last time that we had a rate increase, and that is still open, and also we have one for the senior citizens also. So those 2 programs will continue. I am happy to say that the trash contract, if Republic stuck with a certain percentage increase, then they did not need to go to bid and everything would stay, and they were able to stay at that percentage. So that's good news that we're not going to have to increase that as much as what we had worried about and what they had originally told us they were going to. It's amazing how much they can cut once they find out they don't have to go to bid if they don't have to. So I think it's a win-win for everybody. The biggest changes with that trash, though, and with everything coming forward then is going to be that we've really kind of looked at our costs with those citizens that are on HSE utilities and within our city. And so we were not collecting enough to take care of trash and administration fees and everything there. So there will be an increase there. Other than that, then I'm happy to answer any questions, or if Mr. Elliott or Mr. Davis want to add anything that I missed.
Any questions? Finance Committee, Mike Davis.
Thank you, Mr. President. We met June 6th. Dave Johnson, Aaron Smith, Megan Wiles, and myself. We discussed the fiscal action and appropriation transfer for the Signal Project and decorated crosswalks, and another fiscal action with Holly Ramone for an appropriation transfer for the family and medical leave for city employees. Holly Ramone talked to us about a 2024 salary ordinance revision. That and the claims come to the council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Davis?
Mr. President, I would move that we approve the claims as presented.
Second.
The motion to approve the claims in a second is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 9-0. Miscellaneous number 1, council to consider acceptance of a conflict of interest disclosure from Darren Peterson. That is me. It's a project we worked on a couple years ago, and it's still under construction in Cumberland Point. A tenant has approached the landlord, and we were an artifact of the project and fortunate enough to work out a contract last week, and we're going to hear about it here in a few minutes.
Mr. President, I would move that we accept the conflict of interest as presented.
Second.
There's a motion to accept the conflict of interest in a second. There's a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 8-0 to 1. I'll abstain. Council here, introductory information for a special consideration of an indoor recreation facility at 9847 Cumberland Point Boulevard within the Cumberland Point Plan Development for a pickleball facility. Andrew Greenwood, who's not here, maybe it's Alex Chittenden, maybe it's Sam Boyle, maybe...
Good evening, Council. Alex Chittenden, Patch Development, 6950 East 96th Street, Fishers. Super excited to be here. Sorry, we didn't come prepared. We tried to get the electronic version of the slideshow, so I'm going to present it here, if that's okay. Zoom out. Like I said, super excited. We're looking to team up, obviously, with the Pickler. We have constructed this building, and the Pickler team approached us and wanted to take the space, and we are here to present the special use for this in this park. Here before you, I will kind of run through this real quick. Any questions, please speak up. Myself, Sam, as well as the Pickler team are here to answer any questions. So here's the site plan. And then here's the current construction kind of state of the building right now. We're kind of wrapping the shell up as we speak.
Alex, what are the cross streets so everybody get oriented if you go back to the site plan?
Yeah, so this cross street's Cumberland Boulevard, and I guess it's right on the corner of the Cumberland Point district, right by Washington Business Park. So, and then here's kind of a look at the interior of how the Pickler likes to do their build outs, which is we kind of vetted out the Pickler team and kind of really chose them after they chose us. So they're one of the bigger pickleball brands in the nation. So here to answer any questions as long as the Pickler's here as well. So.
Can you share with us a little bit about the interior of the building? How many courts will be there and other amenities?
Yes, yeah. So they're fitting 19 courts in there. There's a bunch of different viewing stations. There's a couple different mezzanines where parents and folks can go up top and kind of view the games. I know there's some sort of concession stand in there.
It's just grab and go coolers,
Grab it.
snacks, and water and drinks.
Yep.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Proposed development presentations. Council to hear no, I just read that one. Forgot to cross it off. Council to consider ordinance 230624, an ordinance adopting a change of zoning from R1 Single Family Residential to R1 GUO Residential Government Use Overlay, including the adoption of a preliminary development plan for approximately 22 acres for the construction of a Hamilton County office building at 18291 Presley Drive in Noblesville Township.
Move to introduce.
Second.
Joyce Ann Yelton and Commissioner Christine Altman.
Thank you. The site of this property is basically located at the end of what is Presley Drive now, this being Presley Drive, State Road 37. This parcel of property here currently has a GUO overlay on it also. It contains basically solar panels as well as a cellular tower. This particular 20 acres is going to be used for basically a public safety center. This is basically the site plan. As you can see, there is parking, there's the building, there's a water feature here. Again, it went to a public hearing process at the Plan Commission. There were no remonstrators present at the meeting. This did come to you with a 10-0-0 favorable recommendation for adoption.
Thank you. Any questions for Joyce Ann Yelton? Ms. Altman, would you like to add some color to that?
Certainly, and thank you for your time this evening. Currently, in our county dispatch housed in the sheriff's basement, we're at capacity. So if county council gave us additional dispatchers, we wouldn't have a place to put them unless we start splitting between our main operation and our backup operation in Ford, which is hard to do unless I have a 50-50 split, and it's not terribly efficient. So we have been working on a new dispatch center that's freestanding, allowing our dispatchers to actually look outside and not in the basement, and have worked really hard with a design that I think will be pleasing to the council. It's a pretty building, it's a big building, it's 108,000 square feet. It will hold dispatch, hopefully for the next 50 years. It also will house an emergency operations center and our emergency operations folks for handling disasters. We hope at some point to put on storage so we can have facilities that hold the items that are necessary for immediate access in the event of emergency. And it also has some training areas involved. So we'll have public safety training that's fairly convenient for your fire and police officers and our county sheriff. This property, yeah, very good. There's the rendering of the outside. Well, I lovingly call them our bunkers, but we have a nice water feature in front, but we've designed it very carefully with respect to security and access.
So it's got a really pretty reflecting fawns in front, but you would have to be crazy to drive through them. So that was the intent of the design, but it is very attractive. We are working with NDOT to see if we can have emergency access to 37 in the event that we are blocked at Presley. I'm not certain, and I can't represent that we will be able to construct that as it's on the plans if we don't have approval from NDOT, but I think after meeting with the deputy director in Greenfield District that we will have the ability to hide an entrance and exit on that. We will make the commitment when Presley Drive is extended. We will withdraw that emergency access and close that opportunity. One, I think, good benefit, besides housing our dispatchers in a place that they'll enjoy, is the fact that as we construct this ground, it's 20 acres in total, but it's a very difficult site. It has a regulated drain running through it, and it captures a lot of the runoff. In fact, the parcel, the sister parcel to the west, has a large pond on it, mainly for that drainage system. With the improvements we're putting on there, we're over detaining on our site, and that will open up almost 500 acres of development land for development. Right now, we're requiring on Drainage Board, the other hat I wear during the week, to have really high detention in the Elwood-Wilson drain because there's just no place for that water to go and be captured. This site will provide that without having to assess all the landowners within that shed for that capacity. So that's the other reason we looked at that site. I know Noblesville doesn't want to give up additional taxing land, but this will be a very good exchange, at least from assessed value basis. One item we have had to negotiate, we don't have a final agreement on paper, but we have an understanding. On Presley Drive, it terminates right before our site. We had planned to do a drive access to our facility and dedicate right-of-way. The city wants that extended, and I think reasonably, to our drive area, our entrance area, and about 20 feet past, which we will do to road standards, and we'll do a cost share with the city on that. One item that will be different to your road standards is that we will only have a sidewalk on the southeast side. This is a highly secured public safety facility. We really don't want to have a sidewalk on the side of our property, and we've committed to do ADA accessible access points from west to east on the south side, so the folks that want to use that can cut across safely. And when Presley is constructed, we will install at our cost another ADA accessible from east to west. So that's about the only other unique, other than a few variances we've requested on parking. What other nice thing about that site, we were able to design with the help of DLZ, an area that we've reserved for childcare facility if at some point we do that. We've got another location that we own currently that we might start with childcare, but we would do that in conjunction with a partnership with Riverview, because it's very difficult for our dispatchers that work 12-hour shifts to accommodate childcare without at least extended hours, and the hospital has that same concern. So we have a site reserved if this becomes very popular and we're able to sustain that. So that's a little color behind it. Do you have any specific questions that I might answer for you?
Ms. Altman, yes. Thank you. Am I to understand this is both 911 dispatch and EMA?
Yeah, EOC.
EOC,
Emergency management.
the emergency management?
Right.
Okay.
Right. And the thought being, well, first, it's the main core of this facility is hardened, which means we have someone on staff that laughs about, well, the baseball, basketball, beach ball size hail, it'll remain intact, and tornadoes.
And so we wanted to house the EOC in that same secure area, because that's what, hopefully, if something hits, all the towns will come populate, and we'll have a county-wide response to whatever happens.
Thank you.
And after 50 years, if we outgrow dispatch, the plan of attack is to move the EOC, so again, we have longevity with this hardened facility with communications.
Thank you. I've had a chance to tour the 911 dispatch center, and it is a very stressful job in a basement of a building, cave. So I appreciate architecturally what you're doing and creating a better environment for a stressful job.
They're essential responders, just as our fire, police, and sheriff's deputies.
Mr. President, I would move that we approve ordinance number 23-06-24 as presented.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2306-24, and a second. This is a roll call vote. Ms. Pruzinski.
Mr. Boyce?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Elliott?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Schwartz?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Thurston?
Aye.
Ms. Wiles?
Aye.
Mr. Peterson?
Aye.
9A, no nay. It is approved.
Thank you. Thank you. Council to consider ordinance 2106-24, an ordinance adopting a change of zoning from R1 single-family residential to R4 single and two-family residential for approximately 52 acres west of Promise Road at East 96th Street.
Move to introduce.
Second.
Council also to consider ordinance 2206-24, an ordinance adopting a change of zoning from R4 single-family and two-family residential to R4 PD residential plan development, including a preliminary development plan for the construction of single-family residential homes on approximately 52 acres to be known as Branson Reserve, west of Promise Road at East 196th Street.
Move to introduce.
Second.
There's a motion and a second on both of these items. Amy Stephens.
Thank you. Two applications under consideration affect two parcels of approximately 52 acres of mostly vacant land on the west side of Promise Road at the East 196th Street intersection. Both applications are coming to you with a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission from their May 20th public hearing. The site abuts Meadows Knoll subdivision, Round Bush Woods subdivision, and Round Bush Farm subdivision. The comprehensive plan does indicate that this area is to remain residential. The applicant is requesting a change of zoning from R1 low-density single-family residential to R4 moderate to high-density one and two-family residential to accommodate a development called Branson Reserve that's proposed to have 147 single-family detached dwellings with the mix of dwelling types including ranch, two-story, and split-level homes ranging in size from 1,500 square feet to 2,900 square feet. As proposed, the overall project density would be 3.8 units per acre. There are a few community amenities that will be provided, including a walking path, playground, and shelters. The Plan Commission did approve several waivers to the development standards for the R4 district, and those waivers include things such as front and rear setback, lot coverage, buffer and peripheral yards, open space sign, and a center line radius. At the May 20th Commission meeting, 3 citizens did appear to speak to the Commission. 2 raised questions about connecting through Meadows Knoll, which is required per the ordinance, and 1 spoke about a commitment that the homes be owner-occupied. As of today, we do have a commitment concerning that very thing that Mr. Hughes has worked with the developer to execute. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions? Mr. Schinover.
Good evening. For the record, Jim Schinover, an attorney with the law firm of Nelson and Frankenberger with offices in Carmel. We represent the applicant, MI Homes of Indiana. Present tonight on behalf of MI Homes is Ethan Spalding and Tim Westerfield. As Amy described, this is a rezone request and a preliminary development plan request for a for-sale, a single-family detached residential community to be known as Branson Reserve. This request comes to you with planning staff support and also with a 10-0 Plan Commission positive recommendation. First exhibit before you is just the site aerial exhibit that was included behind tab 2 of your brochures. This site consists of 2 parcels that total 52 acres in size, and you'll see the area of the subject site is outlined in yellow. We're just west of and adjacent to Promise Road near the 196th Street intersection. Also, as noted by staff, east of us is a larger parcel of real estate. To the south is Rowdebush Woods. To the southeast is Rowdebush Farms. And to the west is the Meadows Knoll community. And then to the north are individual parcels that are on the north side of the property. This is the site plan that Amy also shared with you, just a few additional details regarding the site plan. Again, it'll be a for-sale residential community that would consist of 147 homes consisting of a mix of ranch and 2-story home products. Access to the community would be off Promise Road right here in this location that I'm indicating. And then we've additionally provided a stub street over to the west that would connect to the existing stub over there in the Meadows community that we could then connect to, which is required by ordinance. We've also provided landscape buffer yards around the perimeters of the property, including tree preservation areas as well as supplemental tree and shrub plantings. A common area for recreation is also included on the east side of the property near Promise Road in this general vicinity that I'm indicating to. And that common space, common area will include a covered shelter for a gathering area, a seating area, playground, path, and then sidewalk connections. Regarding the home product, this exhibit is just one of many that was included behind tab 4 of your brochures. These homes are from MI's Smart Product Lineup Series. As Amy had indicated, the square footages will range from approximately 1,500 square foot to 2,900 square feet. Exterior building materials will consist of masonry and hardy plank siding. On April 17th, the ARB reviewed and approved all proposed home plans. MI anticipates average sale prices to range between $380,000 to $450,000 depending on home size and buyer selected finishes. Also wanted to briefly share with you the entryway signage for the community. This first exhibit is of the entryway signage that would be positioned adjacent to the entrance at Promise Road. This first exhibit is the actual entryway signage, which will be on one side of the entry road. This next exhibit would be an entryway feature to balance out the entryway appearance as you come into the community. So this would be on the other side of the entrance to Promise Road. And both of the sign and their entryway feature would also include landscaping around them. In this last exhibit is the blow-up of the landscape plan for those 2 areas, again, adjacent to Promise Road and the entrance to our community. In conclusion, we conducted a neighborhood meeting on May 8th, and this request comes to you with planning staff support and a 10-0 Plan Commission positive recommendation. Further, as Amy indicated, we received a request through your city attorney about whether MI would be open to rental commitments that you have requested on various residential projects. MI was agreeable to that request, and the proposed commitments have been executed, notarized, and provided back to Mr. Hughes and the planning staff, so they have those documents. So if you're in a position to make a motion tonight, as you know, I just remind you, make sure the motion includes the inclusion of those zoning commitments. And then finally, in the event you are satisfied with the request and we respond to any remaining questions that you may have, We would respectfully ask that you take action tonight to vote in support of this request. While there were 3 neighbors that have attended the Plan Commission meeting, I felt the questions that they have were some of seeking answers to, and then the others regarding drainage and street connections we provided responses to. But with that said, I appreciate your time, and we'll remain available if you have any additional questions of us. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you putting the rental commitment together fairly quickly. We should have asked earlier, but we didn't, so thank you. And as this has worked through the ARB, I saw this project before it started down the process, and I appreciate that it's come a long way. And I appreciate what you presented at ARB. It's a nice product. Is this already in Noblesville? Some of these?
Yes, Ethan's indicating that it's being built over at Silo Ridge.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Mr. President, just for the record, do we know if those commitments got added to the ordinance, or do we need to have it as part of our motion? Okay, if we could just make sure in the motion that we acknowledge that those are being adopted, if that's the will of the council, that would be helpful for the record.
Okay.
And just also for the record, those are consistent with the other commitments we've had in the last couple of months. I think they're the exact same ones.
Mr. President,
Ms. Wiles.
I would move that we approve ordinances 21-06-24 and 22-06-24 as presented with the additional commitment for the rental prohibition exhibit that is included.
Second.
I'm fine with that.
Close enough?
Close enough.
Sorry.
There's a motion and a second to approve ordinances 2106-24 and 2206-24 with the attached exhibits. Rental provisions. Ms. Pruzinski, I've practiced that all week and I've missed it every time. Pruzinskis. There. Could you please call the roll?
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Elliott.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. Schwartz.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Thurston.
Aye.
Ms. Wiles.
Aye.
Mr. Boyce.
Aye.
Mr. Peterson.
Aye.
9 0 nay, it is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your time and consideration. Also, we appreciate staff's effort and Amy's effort in helping us refine this project as we went through the process. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council consider ordinance 2406-24 and ordinance annexing approximately 5.9 acres at 16864 Union Chapel Road in Noblesville Township, establishing a public hearing and resolution RC 2524 adopting a fiscal plan.
Move to introduce.
Second.
A motion and a second. Joyce Ann Yelton.
This basically is a request for, well, don't you want to see my typewritten spiel? This is a request for annexation of approximately 6 acres. It is a parcel of property that basically is located at Town and Country and Union Chapel Road. It was originally a part of an overall acreage that now has been developed as Stony Bluff subdivision. Currently, the property is zoned mostly flood hazard and R1. There is sufficient room to basically establish a single-family home on this 6 acres. The property to the south, east, and west are currently inside the corporate limits. It is only the property that basically is immediately north that is not currently inside the corporate limits. This is a super voluntary annexation. I would request that you set a public hearing on this for the July 9th meeting. At that meeting, we will discuss the fiscal plan. We will have a public hearing on the actual annexation ordinance, and then return the following 2 weeks later at your July 23rd meeting to actually vote on the ordinance. With that, I will ask if you have any questions of staff.
The entrance to this site will be off the fourth leg of the roundabout, is that correct?
Yes, yes.
And this is 6 acres, so it's single-family residential R1. It fits the ordinance. This will not come back before us other than annexation.
Yeah, there is no reason for it to come back before you for any type of waivers or the fact that it doesn't meet the R1 zoning requirements. We have basically been working with the previous property owner that had another person that was going to purchase this property over almost a 2-year period. So it's been about 2 years since we've been working on this. So anyway, the only thing that this will come back for eventually is once it gets annexed into the city, they are platting this piece of property as required by our Unified Development Ordinance. That doesn't come to council. Basically, it goes to the Plan Commission for a primary plat, and then the secondary plat is approved administratively.
It's currently an orphan piece that will have to be, yeah.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Mr. President, I would move that we establish a public hearing at the July 9th for ordinance 24-06-24.
Second.
There's a motion to establish a public hearing in our July 9th meeting, and a second. There's a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 9-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council to consider ordinance 250624, an amendment to the 2024 ordinance, salary ordinance 250923 as amended for appointed officials and employees of the city of Noblesville.
Move to introduce.
Second.
Holly Ramone.
Hi, Holly Ramone, Human Resources Director. As outlined in your attached letter, we have 3 separate departments with some requests. The first one listed there, we have an inspector position in the engineering department. We're just requesting a simple title change for one of those inspectors. We feel that that change will help further explain the job duties of that position. With the street department is our next one. Recently, one of our street department employees became certified through the Federal Motor Carrier Administration to be a trainer, to train employees to obtain their CDL license. And we're requesting that during the time the employee's training, that he receive $2 more an hour, again, just during that training time. And then the third request is with our Parks Department. Effective July 1st, the Department of Labor is increasing the minimum salary threshold for an exempt position. And we have a golf professional who currently is at the minimum threshold. And so what we're requesting is to increase his salary to meet what the new minimum threshold will be on July 1st. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions?
I'll just say that this is something that we discussed at Finance Committee and had some questions, and all that was clarified for us, so we feel very comfortable with the recommendations coming forward.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Holly.
Transfers. Council to consider transfer TA0324, an appropriation transfer in the general fund to provide funding for a leave tracking module in the city's payroll software to assist human resources with tracking family and medical leave for city employees. Ian Zukowski.
Yes, thank you. This transfer request is being done on behalf of the Human Resources Department. You'll see that this is a transfer into the Office of Finance and Accounting. So the reason of that being that the Office of Finance and Accounting currently pays the licensing fees for UKG, which is our payroll and HR software that the city uses. HR is currently manually tracking FMLA employees, the Medical Leave Act employees, and that is eating up a lot of their time and their resources, and UKG came to them with an additional module that would ease up some of that manual tracking that they're currently doing. So this transfer is not an increase to the budget. It's using contingency dollars in the amount of $8,000. That's for the 2024 year. $3,275 of that is for one-time setup costs, and then $4,725 is the licensing, the monthly licensing fees from here through the remainder of the year. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Any questions?
Mr. President, I would move that we approve transfer TA-03-24 as presented.
I'll second that.
The motion to approve transfer TA 0324 and a second is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 9-0.
Thank you.
Council to consider transfer TA 0424 and appropriation transfer in the Downtown Development Fund to provide funding for this downtown signal project and for decorative crosswalks at Seminary Park. Ian Zelgowski.
Yes, thank you. This transfer comes from a recommendation from the Downtown District Committee in the amount of $100,000. Again, it's not an increase to the budget. This is just allocating money that has already been appropriated via the budget but hadn't yet been directed towards any specific projects. This $100,000 would go towards traffic signals and some decorative crosswalks near Seminary Park.
You want to add anything to that, Mr. Smith?
Mr. President, I would move that we approve transfer TA-04-24 as presented.
Second.
Motion to approve transfer TA 0424 and a second is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 9-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Council comments. Anybody else want to make fun of Brian Ayers since he's in the audience?
No, but I would like to talk about something that's happening in downtown Noblesville this weekend.
Please do.
Is it free?
Is it free? Yes, it is.
Yeah. So you're talking about Brian there?
That's right,
Mm-hmm.
yes, there we go. So Noblesville Creates is having their Hatch Festival, so as the construction is underway on Connor Street, and as we're transferring over, all of those activities will be happening on 8th Street between the courthouse and the Judicial Center, so that traffic can be moving along Logan Street. Last year, they had Logan Street blocked off, so that won't work this year. But also in conjunction with the Hatch Fest is the St. Michael's Strawberry Festival, and this is the 42nd annual opportunity to go get some delicious shortcake, ice cream, and strawberries. And all the funds that are raised help with the church's outreach to the community.
Is that Friday or Saturday?
That's Saturday.
Saturday, thank you.
And then Sunday is Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all of you who are fathers. Or want to be fathers someday.
I believe the Lions Club is doing their car show again this year at the Forest Park.
yeah.
On Sunday.
Mr. President, I would just draw everybody's attention, if you're looking for something to do tomorrow, round 2 of the boys IHSAA State Golf Tournament is tomorrow, and Noblesville is currently 4th, and Guerin is currently in 2nd. So
Awesome.
a couple local teams representing pretty strong.
Any other council comments? Seeing none, we are adjourned.